Welcome to the Pub Sports Radio NBA Closing Time Show for Friday, May the 7th. Ian Cameron with you. We are ready to break down the NBA card for this Friday. Skee Prophet having some internet issues, hoping he's along momentarily and ready to break down the NBA card. He hopefully will be able to join us in a few minutes if he can get the internet back up and running. Connor Mack is away for personal matters. Is just tending to a little personal situation, nothing urgent, but he isn't on the show today. So if Skee doesn't join me in the next few minutes, might just be you and I today on the show. But nevertheless, we'll get you through this NBA slate. It's a big one here on this Friday. A lot of games to break down on the Friday slate of NBA action. 10 games altogether. Let's get to it. The New Orleans Pelicans taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. We got Philadelphia. They were 8.5, 9-point home favorites earlier today. Now they're down to about 7.5, pretty much across the board here in this game. The total right around 226.5, 227. It's been bet down as well. Look, New Orleans is a tough team to really trust these days. I mean, they've been very up and down. They haven't played exactly great basketball or consistent. Golden State, they lost the first game against the Warriors earlier this week, and they did come back to beat the Warriors in the second game. But really, it was a divine intervention moment for the Pelicans. They were probably going to lose that game too. And then all of a sudden, the power went out at the arena that night. And then all of a sudden, the Pelicans got a burst from that. Maybe the Warriors just lost a lot of their momentum and the rhythm that they had. And the Pelicans came back and won that game. It's going to be a difficult task against Philly, who's been good at home all year. But it is worth noting, of course, for the Pelicans, Brandon Ingram out for this Pelicans team tonight. And you got to be worried about that. Anytime you want to back the Pelicans, doing so without him on the floor, you got to be a little bit worried about that. And just announced as to why the New Orleans money's come in. Embiid downgraded to a game time decision tonight. So he's the guy that may not go tonight for the Sixers. Left knee recovery is what they're calling it. Really, it's maintenance is what it is. I mean, he was played the last 6 games. This is just maintenance, wanting to make sure he's good for the playoffs, giving him some rest more than anything if he doesn't play. Although, again, that's not confirmed. He's right now a game time decision for this one. I'm not involved in the game. I would lean to the under, certainly. I was initially leaning 76ers. I probably still do, but without Embiid, I would probably be talked out of betting that. Probably the game I won't be involved in either, but I lean to the Sixers. I lean to the under. Obviously, though, if you're going to back Philly in this game, make sure you're aware of Joel Embiid's status. We do have Skee Prophet. He's with us now here on the Friday edition of the NBA Closing Time Show. Skee, welcome in, my man. How are you? Welcome in. What do you think of this game here?
Yeah, sorry. My internet just keeps going in and out for whatever reason today. This game, I agree. I like the under. No Brandon Ingram. That's a lot less scoring for New Orleans. And they've already been going under 6 of their last 7. Philly plays at a slow pace. If you're missing Embiid, you're going to miss some points. I know you'll miss his defense too, but it's a lot of points you're missing. Both teams, number 2, number 3, defensive rated teams over the last 5 games. I like the under in this one the most.
All right, Skee, liking the under here. In this one, Boston and Chicago, we got the Celtics 4-point road favorites, 224 the total in this game. I'm not ready to lay 4 with Boston. I know there's a spot and scheduling advantage in their favor. They're the rested team. Chicago played last night against the Charlotte Hornets, and Chicago pretty much had their way. And look, Skee, I was on the Bulls side last night, and the over in that game against Charlotte, and the over barely got there. I mean, I had 218, it got to 219, so just squeaked that one out, but a win is a win. And Chicago was a lot more comfortable last night. And the reasons I liked Chicago in the over is because they got Zach LaVine back. That's why I liked Chicago last night. A winnable game against a bad Charlotte team. Zach LaVine means the world to this team offensively. We know that. This is a team that has struggled to score the basketball consistently without him. It's not a coincidence that Chicago, without him, struggling to win games, struggling to cover point spreads, and going under the total in a lot of recent games without him. And sure enough, first game back for LaVine, and what happens? They cover, and the game goes over the total. I'm kind of in that same department tonight with this game. I'll let them bet Boston here up the way they have 4. Maybe we'll even get a better number closer to tip-off. We'll see. There's still going to be no Jaylen Brown tonight for the Celtics. It shouldn't impact their offense too much because you still got Walker, Smart, Fournier, and Tatum more than capable. But with Zach LaVine back, and keep in mind, he's been out for a while, so back-to-back won't matter too much for him. He's rested. He hasn't played in a while, so I don't think the back-to-back's too much of a big deal for him. I think the Bulls are the side I would look at here, and hoping I could get maybe another half point or point more of value. If +4 is the best I can get, I'll still take the +4. And I also like the over again. The total 223, it's up to 224. I agree with the slight move up. Boston's actually 6 straight overs coming into this game. They've been an over machine. Now with LaVine back, I think you're going to see the Bulls sort of transition back to better offensive team, maybe cash a few more overs. So I like the home dog, and I like over the total in this game. What do you think, Skee, with the Celtics and the Bulls?
I don't like this game. I mean, I would have to play Boston if anything. I don't love that Jaylen Brown is out, but Chicago at home has not been good this year. Have them at 6-12 as a home dog. Don't like that they just played. So I'll lean on Boston. Just that simple. My least favorite game. You know, I always have one.
That should be a new segment here on the Pub Sports Radio NBA Closing Time Show, is the least favorite game of the day. I have my play of the day videos here for the NHL on this channel. We need the Skee Profit least favorite game of the day to bet on. Obviously, that's this. There is one every day. You're right, Skee. Every day you're on this show with us 3 days a week. There's always that one game and everybody should have that game. There's something wrong with you if you think every game is a must-bet game, or there's something you love on every game. Even as a high-volume bettor, there are still those games that I'm not really all that keen on. The Pelicans game we just talked about is my game, I guess you could say. I don't have a real strong opinion on. This next one I do, Houston and Milwaukee. Milwaukee 16.5-point home favorites, 232 the total in this one. Hopefully we get no lineup shenanigans here for the Milwaukee Bucks. As of right now, the only guy that's in any doubt to play is PJ Tucker. That's about it. Other than that, the Bucks should have everybody on deck. Holiday, DiVincenzo, Middleton, Lopez, and of course the big man Giannis Antetokounmpo. If that's the case, this could get ugly quickly for the Houston Rockets. And the game the looks that I'm targeting here are Milwaukee in the first quarter and Milwaukee in the first half in this game. I don't want to mess around with a 17-point favorite. Not in that price range, because if Milwaukee's up big by halftime, if I'm Budenholzer, knowing that we're a team that's locked into our position probably at this point, we're a team that wants to keep everybody healthy for the playoffs. If we're up by 20 to 25 in the fourth quarter, we're taking everybody out, is what I would do if I were him. And I don't want to be in that position where with minus 17 in my pocket, I'm fretting about the last 3 minutes of the game. But I do think Milwaukee makes a statement early. Let's not forget they lost to Houston in a pretty embarrassing effort the last time they played the Rockets, in the game that Giannis got hurt that night and left the game early due to injury. So I think Milwaukee does show you something here early in the game. I know positioning-wise and seeding-wise, there's not a lot at stake down the stretch for Milwaukee, but I think tonight they show it. I like them in the first half and the first quarter. The Milwaukee Bucks, I'll be on both of those bets. As far as Houston's concerned, no Wall, no Exum, Christian Wood probably not playing. I mean, it's just a litany of absences right now for this Rockets team. Kelly Olynyk, game time decision. Augustine, game time decision. I mean, it's just an absolute mess for this team in terms of personnel. They can barely put a starting 5 on the floor right now for Steven Silas. So I like Milwaukee early in this game, first quarter, first half, and certainly would only look to the over in terms of the total. Houston's been giving up 130s, 140s a lot. Milwaukee probably can name the amount of points they score. Just a question of how much does Houston get, but you will get pace both sides. No defense from Houston, so I like the over a little bit as well. Skee, what's your thoughts here? Rockets, Bucks.
Man, my eyes really bothering me. Something is in here, and you see me keep rubbing it every single second. Milwaukee and Bucks, I mean, you kind of nailed it already, but they lost to this team the last time. And I think that they'll remember that. And for that reason, they're not going to take it lightly. I think that is Bucks early and often. I agree with you. First quarter, first half. I'd even argue the full game. I mean, Kevin Porter Jr., he's not going to be in. I'm not sure if Christian Wood is going to play. The injury list for Houston that's as long as I've seen an injury list in this year. So I would be Bucks all the way. First quarter, first half, full game.
Yep. 100% right. That's why I said this is barely enough to field a roster right now. put a starting five out there if you're the Rockets. You can barely do that with the number of injuries you've got right now on this team. Orlando and Charlotte, you've got the Hornets here, 7.5-point home favorites, 215 the total in this one. Charlotte should win the game, and I certainly don't want to back Orlando, but Charlotte's just one of those teams, home favorites, 7.5 points. No, thank you. It's just not the price range I trust them in. And they played last night against Chicago as well. Didn't play poor and didn't play well either in that game. And they've got their own guys out. PJ Washington, Gordon Hayward, Devontae Graham. There's guys out for this Charlotte team right now. They're battling a couple of key injuries as well. So no, I'm not interested in laying 7.5. Not interested in the side. But I am interested in the total. You've got Orlando. Their defense has fallen apart. They've been trending over. I've capitalized on a lot of Orlando games, the last, I would say, 5 to 7 days where Orlando's been lined in this 210 to 215 range from a totals perspective. And they've been finding ways to get up and over those numbers, kind of a loose, relaxed atmosphere from them on defense right now. And as much as the Hornets struggled to find the bottom of the well offensively last night, could be a different story tonight against this Orlando team. So the over is of interest to me right now in this game with the Magic and the Hornets total currently sitting at around 215. What do you think here, Skee? Orlando, Charlotte?
I think I would disagree. Charlotte's been still playing slow. Orlando's offense hasn't been that great. And both teams been doing a pretty solid job defending the perimeter. So combine that with the people out, the lineup today, I think I would lean more towards an under. Charlotte 21-11 to the under at home. I see less points in this one, so I think we disagree here.
That's all right. Nothing wrong with that. Minnesota and Miami, we've got the Heat, 6.5-point home favorites, 227 the total in this one. Minnesota, look, I know they lost to Memphis and fell short of the point spread cover for most people. I don't think anyone would have won that with the Minnesota. They lost by 4 the other night. They were pretty much 3.5. You might have gotten a push if you bet it early on Minnesota. But I'd consider coming back to them again here. Like, I'm done waiting around to say, okay, it's time to flip the switch. This is it for Miami. They're going to get it rolling now and go on a run. I've been waiting on that for weeks, and it doesn't seem to be consistent for this team. And again, they've got players that are in and out every single night, and that's why they can't get any sort of flow going, Skee. There's a different starting five every night for the Heat. Now tonight, you got to worry if Jimmy Butler, is going to play for the Miami Heat. He's a game time decision for this game for the Miami side tonight. That's a concern. Hero's a game time decision. So again, it's just you just cannot keep the same 5 guys on the floor one game to the next these days if you're Eric Spoelstra. That's been the issue. Say what you will about the Timberwolves, the other night losing to Memphis, but they were still in the game, and they're still, competing every night. There's 4-2 straight up and against the spread their last 6 games. Rubio's played well. Okogie's played well. Of course, Edwards has been awesome, because continues to excel in his rookie season. Karl Anthony Towns, when he's healthy, they're a better team. I think the points with Minnesota might be worth taking here. I just do not trust Miami right now. And let's not forget, last time they played, Minnesota took it to Miami, winning outright as dogs at home against this Miami team. I remember because I took the Heat that night. I hope it's not one of those situations where I took the Heat the last time against this team and paid the price. Now I'm going against them and now watch them win comfortably. I hope that's not the case, but I'm going to go back to Minnesota here, plus the points. The over is taking money. How could you disagree? I mean, Minnesota's scoring. Their defense is still a little suspect. Miami's gone 7 straight to the over, 7-0 to the over for the Heat in their last 7 games. So they've really, really been trending over the number. I think the betting markets see that, and I'm in full agreement with the move on the total. Skee, what do you think here? Wolves and Heat.
If Jimmy Butler was looking like he's going to go, I may hesitate a little bit, but I agree. I'd have to look towards the Timberwolves. The Heat, you talked about their inconsistencies with their lineup and just in general. The Timberwolves, I mean, out of all the teams that are bad, that are tanking and are sitting players, like Detroit, Timberwolves aren't doing that. They still play their top players. So I like how they've been playing lately. If you have Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero both questionable, it's no Butler, no Heat for me. So it'll be Miami or pass. Both teams have been really, not good defensively, but Minnesota's been a little bit better. They should also be pretty good on the rebound. So I like them to stay in this game. Minnesota plus 6?
Plus 6.5 now, yep.
Okay, that's the way I'm looking here.
Yeah, I agree. Minnesota plus the points, and they've been in it's been a while since Minnesota's lost a game by margin. I mean, you look at all of Minnesota's losses: by 2 to Sacramento, by 4 to New Orleans, by 4 to Memphis the other night. They're right in every single game, and if that's the case here again, you're in good shape at plus 6.5 with them. Cleveland and Dallas. We've got Dallas 10-point home favorites, 219.5 the total in this game. Nobody is going to want to back Cleveland. I understand it completely. What are they? 0-8. Straight up and against the spread in their last 8 games. I totally understand that there's no betting bandwagon whatsoever. That's a Teddy Covers phrase. No betting bandwagon right now on the Cleveland Cavaliers. I get it, but I'm stepping in here and taking Cleveland tonight. I've seen this movie too many times with Dallas. I've seen this movie too many times with Carlisle. You beat a big-time team and a big game last night against Brooklyn. Dallas gets the win, and the next night against an inferior team, A, Dallas lays an egg, A, they're flat, B, they're flat, and C, they sometimes rest guys. And we're already seeing evidence of that. Looks like Porzingis downgraded to doubtful for this game tonight for the Dallas Mavericks. So the writing could be on the wall here for Dallas. And look, Dallas is not catching Denver for the 4th seed in the West. All right, they're not going to get home court advantage in the first round, so there's not much of a incentive to move up in the standings here for Dallas because they can't. There's just no way they can. So Porzingis is out, Kleba's out. We'll have to wait and see on Doncic. It looks like he's in as of right now, but I've seen this before with Dallas, and all of a sudden we find out 30 minutes before tip-off, Luka's out. And I worry that could happen. Even if he does play tonight, I've seen more than enough examples of Dallas doing this. Inferior team the night after beating a big-time team or in a big game, and they just don't play well. Yeah, it's a leap of faith. Cleveland is hideous. I don't doubt that for a second. And other than Colin Sexton, there's not a whole lot going on with this Cavaliers team right now, especially offensively. But I got to step in here and take plus 10. The spot's just flat out reeks for the Dallas side. Skee, what do you think here? Cavs and Mavs.
I would lean towards the Cavaliers, but I don't like them on the road. They're not good. I've been saying it all year long. I just don't want to. Even when I lean that way, I just can't do it. And also, I like to play against these teams that have lost 5 or more games in a row. So that also takes me off the Cavaliers. On the total, Dallas has been playing a little bit faster for the past week or two. And I don't think Cleveland's defense is going to stop them too much here in this one. I know the pace is not there for Cleveland, but maybe Dallas can speed them up and get over this short total. For myself, I've been waiting all day, man. I still don't see a Colin Sexton prop. The guys, they were kind of talking about he's too ball dominant. They're not getting the ball enough pretty much. And he responds saying he's going to continue to score, but he's also going to prove them wrong and show them that he can run the team over these next stretch of games. So I bet him that first day it went over. But the way that game ended versus Phoenix, I didn't think it would be a great spot to bet it again the very next day versus Portland. So I didn't. And I want to get back on the train today because he said the next stretch of games. He didn't just say one game. And in an up-tempo game like I think Dallas will play here today, if his assist total is at 4.5, I would look towards that again to go over.
Yeah, I mean, to give him credit, finally he's admitting that, hey, I got to share the basketball. I've got to be a facilitator, not just a shooter all the time. And I think finally you're seeing him do that the last few games. And you're right, the assist numbers are bearing that out. And because he's not been much of an assist guard for the longest time, you're getting value in his prop. You're a point guard, man. You're supposed to distribute and facilitate. You're not just shoot all the time. And I think he's finding that out, and he's heeding the criticism of some of his Cavaliers teammates. And you're right, because he's been not really racking up the assists for a very long time. You're getting a value number over his assist props right now. No question about that. Those are the situations you like to target. Things change late in the season, and you can take advantage of soft numbers. That could be what you're looking at here. Definitely with Colin Sexton over assists. Denver and Utah. We've got the Jazz 4-point home favorites, 215 the total in this game. These two teams deserve a round of applause. You've got no Mike Conley and no Donovan Mitchell on one side for Utah. You have no Jamal Murray for Denver. And all of these teams have done is find ways to win without key contributors. Utah started to win a few games now without Mitchell and Conley. Denver's only 10-2 straight up in 12 games without Jamal Murray. You've got to give them a lot of credit for that. But I'm worried more so tonight, Skee, for Denver than I am for Utah because the injuries are mounting for them. It's Will Barton now. It's a couple other guys now for Denver that are battling injuries. PJ Dozier with the abductor strain that he suffered earlier this week. Monte Morris out as well for the Nuggets. So, now you put more on the shoulders, more weight, more having to be done by Jokic and Gordon, Millsap, Porter, Campazzo. So I worry about that. Campazzo, you talked about it. How sometimes you worry about his matchup at the point guard spot defensively, but it's not as big of a deal when you're playing the Jazz without their starting backcourt right now. There's no Conley, there's no Mitchell, so it's not that as big of a deal for Denver this one time around tonight with who Utah's missing. But the injuries are mounting. Utah is now only laying 4. This is a bargain, all things considered, in terms of where the number is for this Utah team at home, where they have been just ridiculously good all season long here in Salt Lake. So the money's coming in on Utah. I could see why. It does seem a little bit light on the Jazz side. I don't want to sell Denver short, but the injuries are mounting, and I can see what people are seeing like in Utah. I'm off the game. I'm not betting it, but my lean is to the Jazz here. What do you think, Skee?
I go a little back and forth. For Denver, what makes sense on their side is that Jokic can take Gobert out the paint, and maybe they can have success with doing that. On the other side, for Utah, I mean, they're really good at home. And the only thing I don't like is that they're missing their point guards, Conley and Mitchell. So I'm off the side. I look more at the total. You're missing that starting guard and Jamal Murray. I know it's been a while too, but 3 point guards out for this game. You have 2 teams not playing with very much pace, both top 5 defensive rated teams. I like less points here. I like the under. Jazz also the number 1 team defending the perimeter over the last 10 games. Give me under 217.
All right, under the total of 2. What did we got here? Oh, it's down to 216, 215 and a half. So there's people onto this under, but 215 and a half looks like the prevailing number right now. So it's not just you liking this under. It's clearly been a market move toward under the total here with the Nuggets and the Jazz. The next game, New York Knicks, Phoenix Suns. Phoenix 6.5 point home favorites, 216.5 the total. This game pains me. It's going to be a great game to watch. Hopefully it is because I like both of these teams, but it pains me from a betting standpoint. It's like 2 hot chicks, 2 hot women at the bar, but you can't have both of them. You can only have one. That's what this game is right now. You want them both.
You mean you can't be Lou Will?
Yeah, no, maybe you can. Yeah, maybe if you're Lou Will, if I'm Lou Will instead of Ian Cameron, yeah, maybe I would have been able to pull that off. But yeah, 2 beautiful women, and you got to choose one. That's the way I feel about this Knicks. This is the NBA equivalent, betting equivalent of that, Knicks and Suns. I've been a Knicks backer. I've been on this team a ton, but nobody loves the Phoenix Suns more than me and how good this team is. So this is a tough one, and it's revenge for the Knicks. They got run out in the second half by the Suns at Madison Square Garden just a couple weeks ago. One of their rare losses, the Knicks came to this Phoenix team. Not only one of their rare losses, but one of their non-point spread covers, which have been rare lately. And they're coming off a blowout loss to Denver. And I said it the other day, it felt weird, that game against Denver, +4 against the Nuggets. It's a love-in on national television with the Knicks. You got Thibodeau on the TV getting interviewed and Randall lately as well. And it just felt like now that the media is starting to fall in love and gush over the Knicks, watch them just stink it up. And that's exactly what happened against Denver. But they could bounce back here, and they'll be fired up to do so because they lost to they lost Lemon Pepper Cameron. That's a good one, Fred. Well done.
Yeah, that's what had me laughing right there.
I love it. That's a good one. It is well done, Press. Preston's got some funny bone in him. I give him credit. He's a funny man. Phoenix beat him the last time. Knicks coming off that bad loss against Denver. But what I won't be doing is I still think Phoenix is the better team. I like Knicks a great story. 4th in the East. It's amazing what they've done. But still, the higher upside and the better team still overall is Phoenix. And they're coming off their own no-show. That game against Atlanta the other night, what was it, 135-103? I mean, just an ugly one for the Phoenix Suns. They don't have many beatdowns like that where they are just absolutely terrible. You'd expect a response from Booker, Chris Paul, and company tonight in this game. So it's 2 sides I want to back, not bet against. So I'm passing on the game personally on this one, but interested to see how it plays out. Should be a good one. Skee, what do you think here? Knicks taking on the Suns.
Yeah, for Phoenix, just thinking about how they lost that game to Atlanta, how bad it was, I would tend to think that they give a lot of effort and bounce back here in this one. That's about, I mean, their offense has been a little bit better than New York. Maybe they can, maybe they'll win on the rebounds. But I mean, all I really like on the Phoenix side is that they should bounce back from that really terrible loss. On the New York side, they've been covering like crazy. What is it, 15 of their last 17 games? And they're the much better defensive team as of late. Phoenix hasn't really been playing any defense. And more specifically, Phoenix is not defending the three. Over the last 10 games, they're the second worst team defending the perimeter. And you have a Knicks team that's number one in 3-point percentage over that 10-game span. So I lean towards taking the Knicks, plus the last I saw was 6.5 points. And more so, I would look to target these guys on three-pointers because they've all been hot. You have RJ Barrett. He's hit 3 or more, 5 or 6 games. Randall's hit 3 or more, 6 or 7 games. Reggie Bullock has hit 3 or more, 8 of his last 10 games. And all of their props are at 2.5. So all of them are pretty solid to target for me. That's the way that I'm looking to play this game.
Yeah, definitely one of those games where the player props might be where it's at as opposed to the side. And because certainly the side for me, I'm off it completely. I think if both teams bring it tonight, they're both off bad losses. I like both of them. There's no need to force a bet in that situation for me because I like both teams. I think they're in bet on situations tonight, but a good one to watch. No question. I'll be tuned in. San Antonio, Sacramento. San Antonio, 4.5-point road favorites, 223.5 the total in this game. The total's been bet down. A 4-point move in the Sacramento totals. We know we've talked about Sacramento as an over team all year, but lately the offense has slowed down. Pace has slowed down a bit. 4 straight unders, believe it or not, for the Kings coming into this game. You can tell the absence of De'Aaron Fox is impacting them offensively. And not just him, we're talking about Harrison Barnes' game time decision tonight. He can give you some perimeter firepower. We know Tyrese Halliburton certainly can do that. And he's out for the Sacramento Kings. And now without Fox and now without Halliburton in addition to that, plus Harrison Barnes, the veteran, may not play either. No wonder the Sacramento team's not as good offensively. That's a lot of firepower that you're without. And now there's a lot more that falls on the shoulders of their fill-in backcourt, right? Well, Buddy Hield's there, but DeLon Wright now, the point guard, taking over. So a lot on his shoulders. We'll see if they can get their offense reignited tonight against San Antonio. They might be able to because the Spurs just aren't offering a great deal of resistance the last few games at the defensive end of the floor. It's been disappointing to see that. San Antonio's been kind of inconsistent, up and down, erratic. I was disappointed in the way they came out against the Utah Jazz the other night. Very disappointing game in my mind from San Antonio's perspective. This should be a winnable game for San Antonio, but there's something about laying 4.5 with them on the road. Even against this ravaged, depleted Sacramento team offensively, there's something about laying 4.5 with San Antonio. I'm just reluctant to do that right now. Maybe if this total creeps down further, I go the other way and look over, but I can't say I love it either way. What do you think here, Skee? San Antonio and Sacramento?
Sacramento, they only look good because they played a team that was just absolutely gutless. That's the only reason they look good to me in that last one. So with the guys that are missing, like you mentioned, Halliburton, Fox banged up, and them coming back home off of a road trip, I don't really want to look their way. And I said earlier, I don't like to look at teams that have lost 5 or more games in a row. Those have been a fade, a little bit over 57% if you've been fading them all season. That says fade the Spurs. But I look a little bit closer at their last 5 games. They've been playing really good teams. Like, this is a huge, huge step down in competition for the Spurs, who are still in that 10th spot in the West. If I'm not mistaken, trying to avoid that play-in tournament. The guys, there's a couple guys, I think it was Murray or DeMar, one of them, kind of just saying that they got to come and come to play. I like the Spurs. They've been good on the road all year, 8-3-1 as a road favorite. And it's kind of now or never. Like, are you going to bring it? You've already lost to all these teams. Now you get a very winnable game. I think this is a must-win game that they win by double digits.
Yeah, and actually, believe it or not, the team they're playing tonight, Sacramento, is only 2.5 games behind San Antonio for that final play-in spot. So, Yeah, San Antonio's got it. They're 10th, and then they're a 1.5 ahead of the Pelicans, 2.5 ahead of the Kings. So, yeah, this is a big game for the Spurs and obviously for the Kings. I don't know if the Kings are thinking playoffs, though, but if they are, they absolutely have to win this game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I don't know if they're good enough or healthy enough to do that right now. I'm just a game I'm going to probably stay away. I have the slightest of leans to the over. That's about it in that game. Portland Trailblazers and your LA Lakers. At this point, Skee, you're hopeless. Seemingly, it looks like hopeless LA Lakers. Portland 7.5 point home favorites, 222.5 the total. I got to stop saying to myself, it's too many points to lay sometimes, and just go ahead and make it a good size bet. A small bet for me last night on the Clippers against the Lakers, saying that's a lot of points to be laying against the Lakers. That's why I said I kept it small. And first half of that game plays out, I'm like, no, I shouldn't have kept it small. This is just a team that's in tatters right now, the Lakers. It's a different lineup on the floor every single night. LeBron's out. Every single night we've got to wonder if AD's playing. Kuzma, Caldwell Pope, Caruso and company. And now, of course, you've got Dennis Schroeder out. And that's the key absence. And you said it the other day. Dennis Schroeder, I mean, this team's offense just completely looks broken at times without him on the basketball court. And it certainly looked that way a few times the last couple of games here for the LA Lakers. So I want no part of LA. I want no part of LA. I did lay points with Portland tonight. It's a little bit dicey for them even because they're coming back home off a road trip. That's never usually a great spot by any stretch of the imagination. But Portland did play very well on that road trip. Other than Powell's a game time decision. Other than that, everybody else should be good to go for this Blazers team. And I know the Portland team sometimes laying big points with them and with their defense, that can be a little bit of a dubious proposition. But look, they played better defense on that road trip. Look at the way they defended against the Celtics. Look at the way they defended, against Brooklyn. In a couple of those games on that road trip, you did see improvement at that end of the floor for the Blazers. And even if you get a little bit of defense from them, I don't know if this broken Laker offense can do much about it. That's the question. I don't lay points with Portland very often, but I took the Clippers last night. I'm going to be on them again here, 7.5, even with the spot off the road trip. I just think there's tons of issues right now. I don't think the Lakers give two shits about where they finish, prior to the playoffs. They don't care what the number seed is that they get. They just want to get this regular season the hell over and get somebody healthy, get some bodies back at playoff time. I think that's where the focus is right now for Frank Vogel and for this LA Lakers team. Skee, what do you think of this one here? Blazers and Lakers.
Well, I don't think the flat spot is going to really bother Portland just because, the situation ending the season and their spot in the standings, and they're fairly healthy. So I don't think it's going to bother them that much. I think they come to play. And the Lakers, man, I don't even think we have a point guard tonight. And you're going up against Lillard, McCollum. That's a recipe for disaster.
One of the best backcourts in the NBA. Have fun with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster. I know Anthony Davis probably is going to play. He was talking like he was going to play yesterday. But even still, I feel like, look at LeBron. LeBron, he's going to sit out all the way till next week. Not that he maybe doesn't need to get healthy or whatever the case is, but he came back, right? He played the games versus the lower competition teams, and then he dodges all the games versus the good teams. So I don't know that the Lakers are necessarily I don't know how to say. I want to say playing to win. I mean, you want to win every game, but it just doesn't seem like – I don't know how much effort we're going to get from the Lakers side. I'll say that. And without Schroeder out there to at least bother Lillard a little bit, it's absolutely zero perimeter defense. So it would have to be Portland for me. I'll probably target Portland's props. Lakers bottom 5, defending the 3 over the last 10 games. And if Lillard, I didn't see it. I should have put it up right now. I was looking earlier, but didn't have props out for it. If Lillard is under 4.5 for his 3-pointers, I would look to go over. And if it is 4.5 or more, I would probably try to look towards Melo and hope his is 1.5 because he shoots about 40% from 3 this year, and he's been hitting 2 pretty consistently lately. So those are the ways that I'm looking in this game here. And for Zoe, I saw what you said in the chat. I'm waiting on the as long as everybody plays for the Spurs, and once you get Harrison Barnes ruled in, I think you maybe get half a point more. I just want the best of the line, and I'm pretty sure I'll get involved later on the Spurs.
There we go. Yep. As Skee mentioned, when we broke down Spurs Kings, he would only look to the Spurs side -4, 4.5, but maybe he can get 4 or better even if we get word of Harrison Barnes in particular for Sacramento being in. But yeah, makes sense. Target 3-point shooting props for Portland on a night where the Lakers have been terrible defending the perimeter of late. And of course, it's a backcourt mismatch. Total backcourt mismatch here in this game in favor of the Portland Trailblazers. That is problematic. Caruso playing point guard for the Lakers, says Jacksonville Zoe in the chat. That's what they're looking at here tonight, potentially, to go up against the dynamic duo of Lillard and McCollum. Wow. Tough sledding right now for the LA Lakers. And look, I don't think that winning these games doesn't matter to them. They're going to finish, 7th, probably. The Warriors probably aren't going to catch them because the Warriors are 3.5 behind the Lakers right now. There's not enough games, I think, left for Golden State to catch the Lakers. So the Lakers know, hey, we're in the top 8. Let's just get this regular season over with. Let's get to the playoffs, and then we'll go from there. I honestly think it's almost like they've checked out, mentally of the regular season here right now. This Lakers team. How could you not think that? Look at some of these losses, blown out by the Clippers, the Raptors, who have not done a thing, in weeks, go in there and take care of business against the Lakers. I mean, that tells you all you need to know about where things are at with the Lakers right now. Good stuff, Skee. That is the Friday NBA card. Every single game on the board. We will get to best bets to wrap up the show in just a second. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. A lot of interaction in the chat. Preston and Zoe. And we've got Mike Campbell, James Lee, Jaden Batts. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Best bet time in just a second. Before we do that, we'll pause as we always do at this time for just 30 seconds for this promotional advertisement from our great sponsors at Manscaped here at Pub Sports Radio. All right, Manscaped. There you go. Promo code Pub Sports. Make sure you check out all of their products as well. MyBookie.ag, same promo code Pub Sports. NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball on a daily basis. Great time of year with 3 sports going on a daily basis to check out MyBookie.ag and use that promo code Pub Sports. All right, it is best bet time for this Friday NBA card. Skee, 10 games, lots to choose from on that menu. What do you like for best bet tonight?
Yeah, I agree with that, Zoe. I saw what you said in the chat. For my best bet, and I'm just checking numbers because I know they've moved since I've made these bets. I'll still stick with this one here. Or actually, no, that one moved a little bit too much. All right, I'll go with the other one. The New Orleans Pelicans and 76ers under 226.5. You could even get a better number as soon as Embiid gets rolled out. I mean, it's not for sure, but whether he plays or not, I like that game to stay under.
All right, New Orleans, Philadelphia under 226.5 for Skee Profit with his best bet for this Friday NBA card. I'm also going to go a total. I'm going to go Boston, Chicago over the number there. 223.5 is the best number currently with that game. Look, Boston or Chicago with Zach LaVine back in the very first game, it goes over the total. They win and cover. I like Chicago there too, but I think I like the total even more. Even without Jaylen Brown, there's enough to go around for the Celtics, who have gone over the total in 6 straight games coming into tonight. 6-0 to the over for Boston. The Bulls all of a sudden cashing over with LaVine back in his first game last night. I think we see more of the same tonight. Celtics, Bulls over 223.5. That'll be my best bet for this Friday NBA card. And that'll wrap up this edition of the Pub Sports Radio NBA Closing Time Show for Friday, May 7th. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. We appreciate it. We will be back Monday on this show, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, for the next edition of the NBA Closing Time Show. Connor and I will have you covered for baseball this weekend as well, Saturday and Sunday. MLB closing time, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, right here on the Pub Sports Radio channel. For Skee Profit, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll talk to you again on Monday, right here for the Pub Sports Radio NBA Closing Time Show. Have a great weekend. We'll see you then.